Who is the Antichrist, and where will he come from? In this video, we're going to uncover a date found on an ancient clay tablet and a mysterious number hidden within various biblical prophecies, both pointing to the exact moment a world leader could appear. We'll then look at the story of a man who rose to power on that very date and examine how he might be connected to the Antichrist and the end times version of Babylon. By the end, you might realize that almost everyone has been searching for the Antichrist in the wrong place. In the book of Revelation, we find descriptions of two men who will control the world during the end times. The first man is known as the Beast, who will wage war and gain control over all nations. The second figure is called the False Prophet, a man who will perform astounding miracles, compelling everyone to accept the mark of the beast. But which of these two men is the Antichrist? The Bible actually mentions that there are many Antichrists, and the word Antichrist itself has a layered meaning. The term is derived from anti, which can mean against or in place of, and Christ, meaning the anointed one. Therefore, an Antichrist is someone who either opposes Christ or seeks to take his place. These two characters, the false prophet and the beast, fit this description. Both will act against Christ, but it is the false prophet who will lead people to worship the global leader, the man called the beast, as though he were God. This world leader will position himself as a substitute Christ, promising to save the world, much like leaders of the past, such as Hitler, who saw himself as the savior of his nation. But where will this global ruler come from? And when will he appear? In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, a prophecy refers to this figure as Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Historically, Nebuchadnezzar was a real king who ruled Babylon around 2,600 years ago, establishing it as the most powerful empire of its time. After Nebuchadnezzar's death, however, the Babylonian Empire fell, and the city itself was eventually abandoned. Yet, the Bible uses Nebuchadnezzar and his empire as a symbolic representation of another leader and another empire that will dominate the world in the end times. In the book of Revelation, Babylon is described as a great end-times power, ruling over the kings of the earth shortly before the return of Christ. This Babylon represents a global political, economic, and religious system, and its leader, known as the Beast or Antichrist, will be the one at the helm of this world-dominating force. To uncover the location of this end-times Babylon and the timing of its rise, we can look at an intriguing prophecy in the book of Daniel. In chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar dreams of a towering tree that provides shelter and food for all creatures. The tree is then cut down, and a band of iron and bronze is placed around its stump for a period of 7 times. Daniel explains the dream, revealing that the king will lose his sanity for 7 times but will eventually be restored to his throne. This prophecy came true for Nebuchadnezzar, but many biblical prophecies have a double fulfillment, an initial realization and a greater one in the future. In this context, the tree may represent not only Nebuchadnezzar himself but also the Babylonian Empire. In this second fulfillment, Babylon would also be without a ruler for 7 times. But what do these 7 times represent? Revelation 12 verse 14 and Revelation 11 verse 3 provide clues by describing periods in days and times, equating 3.5 times to 1,260 days. Doubling this period to 7 times would give us 2,520 days. And if, as often suggested in biblical prophecy, each day represents a year, we get 2,520 years. This prophecy suggests that the kingdom of Babylon would be without a ruler for 2,520 years, after which a new leader would rise, marking Babylon's resurgence. If this is correct, we need to identify when Babylon lost its ruler to calculate when this new power will emerge. Right after Nebuchadnezzar's dream in Daniel, the book skips forward to chapter 5, where we see Babylon's fall. During a feast, a mysterious hand appears and writes a message on the wall, a clear sign that the empire of Babylon is about to fall. The king and his guests were gripped with terror, unable to read the mysterious writing on the wall. In desperation, the king summoned Daniel to decipher and interpret the message. The inscription read, Mean, Tekel, Parsin. Daniel explained that this writing meant the kingdom of Babylon had come to an end and that God had handed it over to the Medes and Persians. Yet, there was another hidden message embedded in the numbers behind these words. If you have a Bible with footnotes, you might see that these words were not just mysterious phrases but monetary units in ancient times. Min stands for a mina, valued at 50 shekels. Tekel is equivalent to 1 shekel. And parsin means divided, referring to half a mina, or 25 shekels. Adding these values gives a total of 126 shekels. However, the smallest currency was actually the gira, with each shekel equal to 20 giras. When you multiply 126 shekels by 20, you get a total of 2,520 giras, precisely the same number we encountered in Daniel, chapter 4. This serves as a second confirmation that 2,520 years would pass before Babylon would begin to rise again. Returning to the historical account, we learn that while Babylon's leaders feasted, the Medes and Persians had already conquered the kingdom and were entering the city that very night. This date is precisely recorded in the Nabonidus Chronicle. According to this chronicle, on the 14th day, the city of Sippar fell without a fight. Nabonidus, the last king of Babylon, fled, and by the 16th day, Gubaru, governor of Gusham, entered Babylon with Cyrus's army without resistance. Sippar was taken on the 14th day of the Babylonian month of Tishri in the year 539 BCE. 2 days later, Daniel informed Babylon's leaders that the kingdom had been delivered into the hands of the Medes and Persians, and that very night, the city of Babylon fell. This ancient clay tablet provides a precise date that marks the start of the 2,520-year period during which Babylon would remain without a ruler. It's essential to note that biblical prophecies typically use the Hebrew calendar. The Babylonian month of Tishri aligns with Tishri on the Hebrew calendar, meaning that Sippar fell on the 14th day of Tishri in 539 BCE. 2 days later, Daniel declared that Babylon had been handed over to the Medes and Persians. So, we begin counting from the 14th day of Tishri, 539 BCE. Adding 2,520 years brings us to the 14th day of Tishri in 1982, or October 1st on the Roman calendar. And on this exact day, something unexpected happened in modern history. The Chancellor of West Germany was suddenly replaced by a man named Helmut Kohl. This event did not happen through an election. Instead, Germany's parliament appointed a new chancellor via a constructive vote of no confidence, marking the first and only time in German history that a leader took power this way. Helmut Kohl's sudden and unprecedented rise to power on October 1st, 1982, was a second fulfillment of the prophecy in Daniel, chapter 4. Consider these 3 key facts and judge for yourself. Fact 1. 8 years later, on the exact same date that Helmut Kohl came to power, East and West Germany were unified under his leadership. This was on October 3rd, 1990, which corresponds to the 14th day of Tishri on the Hebrew calendar. But why was Germany originally divided into East and West? After Germany and its allies had conquered much of Europe during both world wars, the world's powers sought to prevent Germany from ever dominating Europe again. So, they divided the country, dismantled its military, and crippled its industrial power. But in 1990, Germany was reunified under the very man who took power on the day that prophecy suggests Babylon would begin to rise again. Fact 2. Helmut Kohl was instrumental in uniting Eastern and Western Europe into a new global power. He was one of 2 key figures behind the treaty that established the European Union, creating a shared currency, the euro, and paving the way for Eastern European countries to join the EU. Daniel's prophecy in chapter 4 hinted that when the iron band around Babylon's stump was removed, a new tree would grow from the same roots. If we look back at history, we see that Europe's roots extend to ancient Rome, Greece, and ultimately Babylon. In the Bible, the end times Babylon is symbolized as a woman riding a beast. Interestingly, this image of a woman on a beast appears on some 2 euro coins, where the woman represents Europe. Helmut Kohl helped unify Europe into a global power, seemingly fulfilling the prophecy of a new world power emerging from the roots of ancient Babylon. Fact 3. Helmut Kohl and his successors re-established Germany as Europe's leading power, with a vision of positioning Europe as a dominant global influence. What are the odds that this sequence of events would begin precisely on the day foretold thousands of years ago? Since October 1st, 1982, a new world power, a new Babylon, has been steadily emerging in Europe, and many people remain unaware of what's unfolding. But what about the Antichrist? Although Helmut Kohl retired from politics in 2002 and passed away in 2017, He was not the final Antichrist who will one day rule the world. However, his unexpected rise to power on the exact date prophesied in Daniel chapter 4 provides insight into the Antichrist's origins. The Bible predicts that a figure known as the Beast, or the Antichrist, will one day rule over this end-times Babylon, a power base that has been growing in Germany and across Europe since 1982. Just as Hitler sought world domination, the final Antichrist could emerge, possibly from outside Germany, but eventually gain control over Germany, Europe, and ultimately the entire world. Yet, don't take my word for it. The Bible warns that in the last days, there will be many false prophets. We are urged to stay vigilant and discerning, watching for signs as prophecy unfolds before our eyes. One of these false prophets will be a powerful religious leader who will work alongside the beast, using religion as a tool to deceive and control people. This false prophet will manipulate faith, leading many astray. The only way to avoid being misled by these false prophets is to open the Bible and read what it truly says for yourself. So, I encourage you to carefully examine all the scriptures and details I've mentioned in this video to ensure that everything is true and accurate. One thing you'll discover when checking the scriptures is that the Bible doesn't specifically label either the beast or the false prophet as the Antichrist. But regardless of who takes on this role, the Bible is clear that the beast will rule the world with the support of the false prophet. So, keep a watchful eye on Europe for the appearance of these two figures. When they do appear, what will they do? How will they transform Europe? And what will this mean for the Americas, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East? What role will major countries like the United States, Israel, Russia, and India play in the prophecy of the end times? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Please feel free to share your perspective while respecting others' opinions. I hope you found this video thought-provoking and insightful. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Share this video with family and friends. Give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave your comments and thoughts below. Your engagement helps this video reach more people. Together, we can broaden our understanding and bring light to more minds. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.